Well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to come talk with you, because I have to tell you, I am still humbled and blessed that God has given me this opportunity to be able to serve Him, and that's the way I view this. And for a few of the new faces I see here, just a quick background of who I am and how I approach things, is I'm first a Christian, serve my Lord Jesus Christ first, I'm second a conservative, and third a Republican. And that's the way we look at our bills, and that's the way we operate down there. And one thing that I did do is when I campaigned, I said that I was going to uphold conservative values. And for those of you who haven't seen it, I did manage to end up at the top as being the most conservative, one of the most conservative counties in Texas. You have the most conservative. And believe me, there are people clamoring for that. And so it's going to be a tough fight. What David said about the Liberty Aid, it surely made a difference down there. We've got 2 new senators coming in, so it's not going to be 10. So we have 50% of the Republicans down there in Austin now are sophomore freshmen down there, and all of them come in from the far right in there. So it's going to be very interesting to see how things go. Now, there will be about 6,000 bills filed. And David said he wanted me to talk about them, so I'm going to start with number 1. That's true, there will be about 6,000 bills down there. About 1,500 to 1,800 will make it to the floor. Probably about 1,300 will get passed. Those are rough numbers. I'm going to hit the highlights. I passed out a card. We had some printing errors, so forgive me. It got it at the last minute, but when we sent it to print, it kind of messed it up a little bit. The words are there. And I will point out one thing in there. I talk about we. I don't talk about me as I, because I'm just part of a team down there. I couldn't do anywhere near what's done down there without the people I have working. So we're a team together. When I talk about what's being done, I talk about we, because every one of my staff members, got Desmond Sinsky, which is our district director, here today. Several of the others are out at other events. What I expect to have happen, and let me just so I can cover some of the highlights of it, and maybe, and I'm sure you'll have a pet bill to issue. I will try to answer questions on those and we cover them later. Last session, I went down there prepared to vote against the budget because it had gone up 9, 11, 26% session after session, and was very pleasantly surprised when our finance chairman, Senator Jane Nelson, shoehorned that thing in spite of the fact we had a huge surplus last time. We made about $5 billion in tax cuts and left about $4 billion in the bank. It was decided that we were not going to spend all the money we could get our hands on. And so we only increased spending the budget by 3.5% in spite of the fact we'd have a state population growth times inflation of 69.9%. So we actually had a cut in per capita spending. First time Texas has seen that in a very long time. And I expect to see that again coming up. Been a lot of meetings around the state on property tax. It's a big issue. It has gone through the ceiling in some places. It is outstripping population times inflation by several 100% in some locations. Now, Texas is a pretty mature state and growing, but there is no real excuse for spending to be growing any faster than population times inflation. And so, seriously, and the problem with property tax is you never own your property. You're just renting it from the government as long as we have property tax. So the idea is to look at what we can do to bring property tax relief to people without adding an income tax. I can assure you, I don't know of anybody down there on the R side of the aisle that will vote for an income tax, so you don't have to worry about that. As far as some of the other major efforts that will be taking place, we will be addressing the problems with CPS. Child Protective Services has been left unchecked for far too long, and it finally, unfortunately, with government, things have to really get bad before somebody wants to step up and do something about it. and it has gotten that bad. So expect to have some major changes made. I'm not on the committee that will be handling that. And just as a side for your information where I am, I'm on the Transportation Committee, Natural Resources, Agriculture and Water, Veterans Affairs, and Vice Chair of Border Security. And that's a handful. So, and the one that I really enjoy the most is Veterans Affairs. Here in Texas, you're blessed. We have legislators who want to try to do what they can for veterans. So, but CPS will be a major one. Mental health. Mental health, again, the state has dropped the ball badly. Our facilities for handling people are atrocious. We've got a couple that, honestly, you probably wouldn't want to keep your dogs in, and we're still using them. And so something has to be done. We have to give some relief. Our law enforcement, I talk to them, and half of what they do is picking up people with mental problems. Crime-related, but mental problems and not criminal problems. So I expect that would be a major issue to be addressed this session. And then the other one is school choice. There is a big push to try to bring choice for kids that are in favored school districts. Out here in Rockwall, in this area, we're blessed with really good schools. We have school districts in our state that in 10 years after graduation, there are 10 times more students in prison than went to college. And that's not good. And those kids deserve to have an alternative. And so I'm sure that will be addressed, and it will be, and it's one that what I'm pushing for is, like many other areas, let's get away from this one-size-fits-all solutions. We have a vast difference between urban and suburban, and the solutions, the problems in each deserve their own solution, not to have one size fits for the entire state. So, one of the top bills that I'll be working on is to get Texas to move to protect our electrical grid from terrorist attacks. We've never, ever addressed our electrical grid. Never has it in the past been considered a target for taking down America. But what we have learned in intelligence from other nations, all of the nations that we might go to war with, Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, all have as their #1 strike against the United States would be an EMP attack on our electrical system. And without electricity, life doesn't go on very long. It's the third most important thing to sustaining life. The only two things more important than electricity in our life today is air and water, because a lot of people live longer without food, without electricity. We know what to do, and we know how to do it. Our Lieutenant Governor was in Israel this summer, got a briefing from them on what they're doing to harden their grid. And it just happens to be something that God blessed me with being in a position to learn about a long time ago. Because when I was in the Air Force, I was the project officer when we discovered this threat being used against our that could be used against our strategic missile system. And I was the project officer to harden Minuteman missile. And so I have a background as an electrical engineer, and it is something that I've got the attention of people in Austin, so I expect that to be our top priority. And possibly I come back when it takes more than 2 minutes to be able to describe this, and so maybe I can come back from one of the meetings and give you a full presentation that I've been given around the state on what it really is. Another one is election integrity. We have a serious problem in Texas as we have morphed from all paper to a quasi-electronic process. We have a statutory problem that doesn't recognize the two. They're treated differently. And I'll say today, because of the way we handle our electronic voting, we cannot say with any certainty that the results being recorded from the election are an absolute reflection of the intention of the voters that went into the voting booth. And that's a scary thing, and I don't say that lightly. We've been studying it, and we have found a huge amount of problems, not only from errors because of the way the system is set up to run, but because of fraud. We have the FBI is now involved in at least 2 counties here in Texas, quietly investigating a massive fraud ring right in north of Texas was one of them, and we found serious problems in other counties. Matter of fact, we did a quick study of all the counties in terms of the number of people that were shown to have shown up to vote and the number of votes cast. And out of our 254 counties, 249 did not match, but they were canvassed. So we'll be looking at a system to bring integrity back into it. It will include having a paper trail. Right now, what is lost with electronic voting is there is no paper trail, and you can't tell. So the technology is there to do that. The third, another one would be to take the steps to secure our border. Hopefully now with the presidential election, things will get better. Folks, we are apprehending 7,000 illegal aliens a week coming across our border. That's what we're apprehending. 7,000. Handing them over to ICE, and they're turning them loose. And the amount of crimes that we have are growing. We have a system in a great deal of the state in which we have a two-tier law enforcement. That is, if you're an illegal alien, you get a pass on lots of violations that you as a citizen would have your car towed or you would go to jail for. It'll take me a while to go into detail, but I have hard copies of reports in which an illegal alien caused an accident by rear-ending the car, had no driver's license, did not speak English, had no insurance card, no registration, and the tag was a fake tag on the car. The law enforcement officer just let him drive away. And there are other stories like that. So, and it's out of frustration because they know nothing's going to be done once, so we've got to change that. So that's a major one. We're going to be looking at an interstate compact so that no matter who becomes president next, if we swing the other way, that we will at least have the tools here in Texas to take charge of who's coming here into Texas, because we're looking at the refugee, including refugee relocation, as well as interstate compact. The American laws for American courts expect this time to pass, where we have our judges making decisions in our family courts using either Texas law or federal law in how they make their decisions, not foreign law. That, which, how much time I got? Huh? We're okay. The other ones will be a couple of them that we'll be looking at is to reform our Civil Asset Forfeiture Act. This is a bill that has a really good intent and a good purpose, but unfortunately the way it's currently structured, we have a lot of jurisdictions that will actually misuse the act, and so we hope to try to reform it without taking the teeth out of it that has a legitimate place in law enforcement in stopping criminal activity. Another one, a Driver Responsibility Act reform. This is another bill that really sounded good when it was first passed. The idea was to try to get drivers off the road who habitually did really bad things like high speeds, wrecks, and drinking. And so it was designed to take away their driver's license and charge them high fees. We found out that you really don't need a driver's license to drive an automobile. You just need a key, and you can't put people in jail for not paying their fines. And so the state right now is owed about $3 billion that's uncollectible. We have about 1.5 million drivers on the road that do not have a driver's license. They have the license, they can't have insurance. And so we have a lot of uninsured drivers out there. And we have people that have gone into debt because these fees are escalating, and over multiple years, the people are in debt several thousands of dollars with no hope of ever getting out of it. And so it's a cycle, and plus it ends up every time they're picked up, put in jail, processed through the courts, is costing our cities and counties a lot of money just to do that. And so this is a bill that was a joint effort between myself, Don Huffines, Senator Huffines, and the most liberal Democrat down there, Senator Rodney Ellis. So I'll tell you that we do work together down there. And I'll tell you, in Austin, and Justin will find this out down there, the battle is not between Democrats and Republicans. The battles are between urban and suburban. And that leaves me caught right in the middle, because I've got both here. So there'll be some things that will be good for urban and not bad for suburban and so on in there. So it's a challenge for balance, but that's where our challenges are now. We've got a whole series of bills on religious freedom. We got one passed last called the Pastor Protection Act for rights of conscience. We're going to be looking at trying to get bills through for rights of conscience for the flour maker, the cake maker, for the justice of the peace, clerks, that they don't have to do something that is contrary to their truly held religious beliefs. It's going to be a challenge, because it's not going to be the challenge to get it through the court, through the legislature. It's to get a bill that will stand up in court, because the courts have become so wild in their interpretation of how they're interpreting things that it's going to be extremely difficult. But we've got a really good group of people working with Kelly Shackelford and Jonathan Saines, two great attorneys that do this kind of legislation for defending people. I mean, you hear some of the stories that they talk about defending people for. Kelly Shackelford right now has one where he's working with two private Christian schools that were told by the state, this is not in Texas, but another state, that they could not pray at a football game. Two private Christian schools. So it's creepy. It's creepy. Let me skip over just to talk about how we look at a bill. I passed out a card there that has a list. People ask me, how do you make a decision? Well, ours is really straightforward. It has nothing to do whether it's a Republican or a Democrat bill. It has nothing to do whether I like the person or I dislike the person. Personality is not in it. We ask a few simple questions of it in the course of the evaluation. To begin with, is this constitutional? Is this fit within what's in the Texas Constitution? The Texas Constitution is about that thick, you have to look at it. So, but there is still there is a lot of stuff that's on the books that if somebody had asked that question, it would not have become a statute. I can assure you that. So that's the first question we'll ask. And the second, is it supporting a core function of government? Is this what government is supposed to be doing? Whether it's constitutional or not, because we've got a lot of stuff in the Constitution I don't think has to do with limited government. Remember, as a conservative, I believe in limited government. The more the limited government is limited, the better our liberties are. And does it increase spending? Does it increase regulation, government control, grow government? And then the very last thing we ask, is this the right thing for moral people to do? If it doesn't do that, then we won't support it. If it does, we will support it. And so that kind of applies across the board. So with that, Justin, what you